Call the meeting to order. Before we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, I need to swear in Mike Andrews.
Oh, we all stand though, right?
Well, just me and him.
Oh,
Okay, if you just want to repeat after me, Mike. I, Mike Andrews,
I, Mike Andrews,
swear that I will support
swear that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and of this state,
and of the state,
and that I will discharge faithfully
and I'll discharge faithfully
the duties of the office of school board member
the duties of the office of school board member
of Independent School District number 2154
of Independent School District number 2154
to the best of my judgment and ability.
to the best of my judgment and ability.
Congratulations, welcome aboard. Okay, now we can stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Number 3.0, roll call. Please let it be noted that everyone is present. 4.0, student rep information.
There hasn't been a whole lot going on this week. Tonight our boys baseball team will play Ely. And for Avery Dole and Six family, we have a penny drive going on right now for their family, and all the proceeds will go to all their medical expenses. But that's about it.
Thank you. And number 5.0, agenda additions, deletions.
Mr. Chair, I have one 10.4 that I remember and understanding. Stipulated agreement with the last meeting regarding clarification on two of our positions.
Okay. That is all? Okay. Item 6.0, visitor input. Do we have anybody signed up at this time, or? Well, did someone signed up, or did they? If they want to, I see that there's plenty of the choir members here if they wanted to, or the choir boosters if they wanted to talk, that's a good time.
My name is Mark Mooster. I am the president of the Evelyn Gilbert Choir Boosters. We did want to speak, we were preferring to speak as an agenda item this evening to discuss the issues we're having with the vocal music program. We were denied that opportunity, so I'll go ahead and lay out what we were looking for, and then if you have any questions, I guess see me afterwards. But within our vocal music program, we've had some major cuts to the position. Last year, it was cut from a full-time elementary position to a .8 elementary position, and now this year, it was cut down to a .23 elementary position, which left a lot of the burden of that extra work on our choir director. When she started here, she was teaching 5th and 6th grade music, a general music class, and then junior and senior high choirs, with time for vocal lessons to work with individuals in small groups. And over the last 2 years with the cuts, she's had to cut out that time, that connection time with the students. It's not only a time that she uses to work on music with the students, but she spends that time connecting with students and getting to know them and making the program stronger through those connections. Music is very dynamic, as you probably know if you've ever been in music class. Everybody's participating all at the same time. It's never just like a math class where you can have a single student or group of students working on their own. Music is something you have to do together. And she's lost a lot of that, and it's reflected in the program. She's had some numbers drop off towards the end of the year here. The kids were fully expecting her to have those lessons that she's had in the past. She didn't get those this year. And that really kind of leaves a sour taste for some of the students to not have that time with her. It's not good for the program. The choir this year went to contest and they did well. They got excellence, but on the lower end of excellent, when in past years they've been scoring superior scores. That's just one impact. Obviously, our elementary students aren't getting the music that they're used to getting. Maybe we weren't ever at the state mandate of 90 minutes a week for each class, but we were a lot closer than we are now. For instance, our third grade only gets a third of the music classes they're supposed to get. What we were hoping to do tonight is request that there be some kind of action to restore that position to a full-time elementary position, or work with us to come up with some kind of compromise to relieve the choir director of some of their duties. Really, she's working a 1.75 position almost right now. She's doing the work of certainly more than one person. And it's not fair to the program. It's not fair to the students. We need some kind of relief. We need to work out some kind of compromise here. I understand that we're in a deficit. I understand we have to make budget cuts, but make them fairly for everybody, not just one program. I'm not aware of any other program that has taken a 0.75 hit to their, and maybe there is. If there is, tell me, and I'm sorry, I've not been informed of any other. I've asked the question. I've not been informed of any other cuts to other programs as deep as this happened in the vocal music. So I understand you have to make cuts, you have to make tough choices, but let's make them fairly. Music is an activity that it causes students to use both sides of their brain, left and right side of their brain, all at once. The creative versus the analytical, and it all has to work together in music. And there aren't many courses, there aren't many other programs where that happens. So, I mean, it's nothing but good for the students. There have been studies after studies, and I could certainly find all kinds of scientific information that it helps students in all of their academic areas. It relates to all of their academic areas: math, science, reading. It's all connected. And music is one of those things that can bring all those things together and just help your students. And the other part of this is the music faculty here, Ms. Forsman, as well as the others, are seeing quite a few of your students. I mean, if you think on a weekly basis, Ms. Forsman sees 400 plus students multiple times a week. That's almost half of your student body. And so cutting those positions has a huge impact on those students. They don't get the time they need. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Anybody else? Nobody else has signed up or anything? Okay. Item 7.0, approve the agenda. Call for a motion to approve.
I will make the motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion by Lotiger, second by Addy. Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? None. Motion passes. 8.0, consent agenda. Item A is to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of Monday, May 18th, and letter B is approve treasurer's report for the second check writing of May. I get a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion by Sather,
Support.
support by Gentilini. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Item 9.0, personnel. 9.1, accept notice of retirement of Brad Hadrava.
I'll make a motion to accept the retirement notice.
Okay, motion by Sather, Supported by Andrews. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair, at this time we're not going to post the position that we're looking at the potential of revamping those job classifications. Brad was a plumber in A. We have been unsuccessful in finding a replacement on and off for the past 3 years, and we're in a position where we're having to contract that license out right now. Anyway, so we're looking at more of a general maintenance position where they could do more than just plumbing. So we'll see how that goes.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? None. Motion carries. 10.0 new business. 10.1 accept proposal for weekly early out staff development time.
Next week I'll talk to Hugo. I'm gonna look at flipping this whole room around so that you're faced that way. But till then, I want to talk to you a little bit about early outs. We had mentioned a few times earlier. So what are we talking about? So every Wednesday we're looking at students being released from school for 1 hour. So if the end time, like in the high school, is 2:54, it would actually be 1:54 on Wednesday. And that time is going to be used by teachers for staff development. Basically how that works is they're released an hour early. All the 7 through 12 classes who are now on a 7-period day, they would still have the 7 periods, but each of the periods would be 9 minutes less. Bear Care we did a trial run earlier this year, and we had about 10 extra kids in Bear Care, and we would staff that appropriately. We have, with the early out, we have a number of people that could cover in there anyway, mainly paras. We're also looking at doing some para training during that time. One of the things that we don't do now, as far as how they deal with their students. And we're also looking at using some of those folks for some after-school supervision, because there's sometimes a little gap between when the kids get out and if they have early practice or whatnot, if the coach isn't available to come earlier. So we want to cover those kids as well so they don't have to go home for an hour. Where we're at now, typically we do about 3 days before the start of the school year. We do 1 day in-house, some training of various type, whatever the hot topic is for that period. We do a range-wide staff development day over in Virginia. We also have another day where the staff is allowed to clean up their rooms, fix their rooms up, and we have open house that day. We also have 1 day in January that's typically dedicated to half a day of safe technology training, and the other half working on finishing up first semester. We also have 4 2-hour after-school in-services. 2 of those fall within the end of quarters. We allow some prep time for conferences, student conferences, and we also do some things with data with them. And overall, this has not been real effective, particularly in the area of technology. So where we're at with technology right now, between 6 and 8 years ago, we furnished each of our classrooms with a smart board / projector, much like you're looking at right now. In fact, the one that is in here right now is taken out of an empty room in the Franklin. Well, 5 years ago, we updated teacher workstations, the computers that they work at. Anywhere from 3 to 6 years ago, we updated computer labs. We do have 2 labs currently that are what's called Microsoft XP labs. They're no longer supported, and a lot of the phishing scams and hacks that you read about in schools right now are coming through labs like that. So we've essentially shut those down. About 4 years ago, we started the one-to-one devices, iPads. The reason I bring this up, the smart board projector is still relevant today. They're still functional. We have had to replace a few here and there. The teacher workstations are becoming obsolete, And we have actually in the budget that you passed, the preliminary that you passed earlier, we do account for replacing those workstations. We haven't decided what that's going to look like yet, but we're planning on that. The computer labs we're starting to get away from, given that we are a one-to-one school. We haven't quite found the right mix at this time. A lot of the high school classes, they'll tell you that their number one need for technology is some type of either a presentation like you're seeing now, or word processing, writing letters, projects, papers, things like that have been traditionally done in a computer lab, and they are very difficult to do on an iPad as they are. Right now, the mobile, I mean, you still have your Google Docs and slides, and you can actually, on a unit this small, use the Microsoft suite as well, the Word and the Excel. However, the mobile versions are much different, and they're very kind of cumbersome to use, actually. So we've struggled with that aspect of it. We spent a great deal of time this year looking at different options as to what direction we can go. We're starting to narrow it down a little bit. I would suspect in the next month we'll be coming to the board with our answer. It might not be a one-size-fits-all for all the grades. But to get to the last point there, the one-to-one devices 4 years ago, they are, probably about 60 to 70% of our fleet right now is obsolete. The original iPad 2s, Apple does not support them anymore. They were can't get the iOS 10 that the latest update won't go on them. Most of the apps aren't supported anymore, and we're struggling to continue to use those. So something's got to give this summer, and we have the admin team, and along with a lot of the teaching staff and the IT staff has spent a considerable amount of time looking this over, because our next move, we want to do the right thing. We haven't, one of the reasons I'm talking to you tonight about early outs is we have not done a real great job of supporting the technology that we have. With the, moving back a slide, with the current that we're doing 3 days before and 1 day in January, it's not adequate for making positive change with the way we teach. So classroom technology training, this is what I'm talking about. So the current methods of staff development are not effective. Changes in the teacher's practice leads to increases in student learning. We know that. In order to truly change teaching practices, professional development should occur over time and be ongoing. And that's the early out part. We're looking at keep going. Initial attempts to use new teaching strategies usually ends in failure. It never works out the first time, like most things we do in life. The mastery only comes as a result of continuous practice. So what are we going to do with the early out? So 2 days out of the month. So we have four early outs. So 2 days of the month we're going to be doing specific classroom technology training. I mean, we're going to, by the time we come to the board with our plan for what's next as far as our classroom technology, we're also going to have a training program in place specific to a plan for how we're expecting our teachers to use them. Rather than the last time they were purchased and there were some ideas thrown out before the school year, this is how you could use them, but we never really had a plan for this is how we should use them. And that's a mistake that a lot of schools made when iPads came out, and lots of schools are now rethinking that strategy and going to, you'll hear Google Chromebooks, straight laptops, and other options. Samsung has a tablet out as well. That's becoming popular in schools. The second day we're going to look at grade level or department meetings. Actually, that'll be the third day. And the main purpose of that is with the standards and the evaluation program that we currently have in place, and with Wordsmith Workforce, we're required to keep a tab on our standards as to where we're at, how we're teaching them, do they align with what we're teaching, that type of thing. And we haven't allowed a whole lot of time for our staff to be able to have those discussions together. They largely are having them on their own, and these would be guided and schedule. So and then the fourth day is going to be, we have the teacher evaluation program that we've been in test mode for the last 2 years. We're looking at taking that to the next step and having time to work on that, having time for the teachers to work on their classroom goals, their personal goals. And also, it'll also provide time for classroom topics, such as, if we're having classroom management problems in such a grade, we can create a hour-long program to try to address some of those things. So that's overall what we're planning on doing with those 4 hours. And also, as we look to the future class, and I mentioned this, but as we look to the future of classroom technology, we need to put a system of support in place so that whatever decision we make is effective for student achievement. So whatever, like I said, whatever we do decide, I think it's very vital that we have a support system in place so that whatever it is, that we can make sure that it's successful. And that's all I have. And I guess at this time I would appreciate if the board would consider our proposal for having those weekly early outs on Wednesdays. The calendar is out already. We do match with, most of the Iron Range schools now, as well as this would be an added bonus, because I won't tell you all schools have, but most schools have done this early on Wednesday. Our neighbors have.
That's something you're going to want a motion for tonight?
Yeah. Unless you want to noodle that over. I didn't give you this information prior, and this is the first time you're hearing it. I understand that. But it won't change what we're looking at.
How many Wednesdays will it be next year?
Total?
Yep.
9 months times 4, 36 probably. Might be 35, but
Do we want to talk about it, or we just want to move forward? I guess I have some questions, but it could be held for a later time too, or we can.
you can ask if you want.
I'll just say it's 35 hours of less student-teacher time. Talking to the public, that's what everybody's been public don't get it. I'll just say it. I don't really get it either. I get the student or teacher development or side of it, staff development side of it, but so we're going 35 hours less of student-teacher time. Are we adding an extra day or 2 at the end or somewhere to accommodate that difference in our school year for student-teacher time? Or are we not?
We have not considered that at this time.
Okay.
We're about 3 days over the state requirement as far as days go right now. And largely that's built in case we have a snow day or 2. I guess my response to that would be we have, education is changing whether we want it to or not. Technology is here. And the way that we have been trying to train has, for lack of a better way, a softer way to put it, has been very ineffective. And not just us. This is kind of a wave that's coming. There's ways that you can look at it. If you want more, we could pay for more time after school. Summer stuff is good for introduction, but as far as implementation, when you're doing it every week like this, we can go through something and then the teacher can go back to the classroom and try it, and if it's unsuccessful, next week we can go through the problems. It's ongoing. We can hit it, whereas, if we're just doing something in the summer and then again in January, it hasn't. And there really isn't a lot of time in a teacher's day. I know that might be hard for some people, but there really isn't. Especially in the elementary, you have 45 minutes a day in which you get to prepare for what you're doing that day. And the rest of the day, there's kids in front of you. So, it's not like somebody can come into your classroom and say, hey, I understand you're having a problem. Let's work through this. You've got a bunch of kids waiting to get to work. So, and then as far as paying them after school, we have done some of that. It's kind of tough because by the end of the day, it's tiring. You're not feeling like putting in more hours to learn, and it hasn't been real effective. Plus the cost of that. And in the end, if if we have a good plan in place and we have that support system, I know we're losing 35 contact hours. However, I mean, if it's to benefit student achievement, it's got to be worth something.
Have you talked to other districts to find out how that early out has benefited them at all, or if it's made a difference, or if was it beneficial, or?
Sure, I mean, I was in a district prior to coming here that had it. They didn't use it so much for technology training like we're proposing. They were what's called a QCon school. So there was kind of a prescribed lesson every week. Could be behavior management one week, it could be lesson planning another week, that kind of thing. But there was also a collaboration piece in there. I mean, largely, I mean, it's, when you're from the outside looking in, it's hard to believe, but our staff really doesn't spend a lot of time, don't get a lot of time to just sit down and talk about, hey, I'm having this problem, can you help me out with it, that kind of thing. So I mean, there is a definite benefit to getting people together to talk about, you know, what are the issues, how can we work on this, which we don't have in place right now.
I also feel that, I mean, I hear what you're saying, and I've heard some members in the community make the same comments, but I do feel that the greater quality that we put in our teachers, it's going to show in all of the classrooms. Without a doubt, I believe that. So I feel like if we're giving the teachers the tools and everything that they're needing to be able to stay on top. I mean, I couldn't imagine working and not having ongoing unit meetings, and that's kind of what I see it as, to bring everyone together to be able to continue to talk and look at current research or trends that need to be changed or how to use the technology that we're giving. But I do feel like it's going to show, and it's not about the number of hours of the education, it is quality. And I feel like if we put the quality in in our teachers, it's going to come out in the students. So,
were the teachers surveyed? What's their input on early outs?
I think when explained, I can't say that I've talked to every one of them individually. There were each building had staff meetings in which these discussions occurred, and certainly there are those that are not in favor. And a lot of that is from the stigma that staff development has in schools. I think it's really going to depend on how well it's organized and how well it's carried out and pushed. If we go into it lackadaisically and say, oh, well, you know, on Wednesday morning, I go up to these guys and say, hey, what are we going to do tonight? That's going to be a problem. So, I mean, it's really on us and the other leadership team members that have been working on this to make sure that it's a quality product. And I think the ones that are against it right now are feeling that that's probably what's going to happen. And like I said, it would be on us to make sure that doesn't happen and it's worthwhile.
So is an hour a sufficient amount of time? Like, is there going to be collaboration between the two campuses as well, or so there's travel time there? Yeah,
we did spend a good chunk of time talking about that. We have a couple of tools in place. I mean, there are some times where we're going to have to require that travel to get to one place or the other. But with the technology, I mean, we can get a lot of people in the same room at the same time talking about things, and we can do some of that. I mean, elementary is not going to be as an issue because they're all in their buildings right now anyway. It's largely a secondary issue.
Go back a couple slides.
I can go back a couple slides. How many you want to go back?
More. So are these on top of these hours, or will some of these hours go away?
We would still be doing the 3 days before school. It's on the calendar. We still do the January day.
Okay.
Before 2 hour after schools are probably going to go away into some other form if we did that. I won't say that for sure because that one's actually in their contract, so I can't arbitrarily say that's going to go away, but it's something that we will work on changing.
So it could in essence be 27 hours and not 35. If you take 8 hours off. If it comes to that negotiation.
Well, even in negotiation with those, it's written in there as staff with non-student contact time, so we would have, if we wanted to do more student contact time, that'd have to be something that was negotiated.
I know one of the concerns too of parents is fees for the bear care. Has any thought been put into fees for that?
Well, as of right now, with the authority that I have, we would continue to charge for whatever time it is. I mean, if the board at some point wanted to say, you know what, we're going to waive that, I mean, it kind of opens up a little bit of can of worms. If you're going to do that on Wednesday, why wouldn't we do that on Monday through Friday too? And how do you choose which ones are not getting charged on Wednesday? So, I mean, we have to put some thought into that. I don't know that there's an easy answer to that other than to say, yeah, it's still going to be $2.85 for that hour. Because it is an hourly fee right now.
That's what it is $2.85?
I believe so, yeah.
Any other questions? Do we want to vote on it now, or do we want to mull it over? Come to consensus? If someone wants to make a motion, I guess.
I'll make a motion to approve the early outs on Wednesdays for next school year.
Okay. Motion by Saylor. Anyone want a second? Get a second? Okay. No second, so motion fails. So I guess we'll talk about this at another time. Moving on. Item 10.2, approve second reading of policies. We all had time to look over the policies. Is there any?
I'll make a motion to approve second reading.
How about we go into discussion first before we talk about this?
Well, there's a motion on the table. We'll get a second, then we can discuss.
Okay.
If someone wants to second it.
I'll second it.
Okay. Motion by Peterson, second by Lotiger. And now we're open for discussion.
On this policy, I had mentioned last time about the fact that policy 206 in the MSBA book, in the first part of it, it says public participation in school meetings. In ours, we removed participation and put in comments again. We've left comments in there. In the second part of the general statement of policy, we removed discussion by citizens and kept in comments by citizens. Now, if you look in the dictionary and you look under comments and discussions, they are two different words, two different meanings, okay? We also, I guess I couldn't have been more clear, and I don't understand why the board would not want to change this back to MSBA's recommendations of allowing more public participation with this. I guess I don't know. Is there a reason we should leave it like this versus going back to what MSBA recommends? I just feel that, you know, it was obviously changed for a reason. Okay? And I just feel that if you want to get more public input, people coming, creating conversation in an open forum or whatever, however you want to call it, that removing these and making more participation, creating discussion would be proper.
So Bill, can I ask you a clarifying question, or Director Addy, sorry. So with what you're commenting on, are you suggesting that we go back to the MSBA complete policy bottom line, or just changing the comments back to the
Well,
discussions?
just go back to 206. Yeah, I mean, just change
The
it back.
MSBA
Yes.
policy
Yes.
completely. So
I
it's
mean,
not
our-
just about the comments versus discussion.
I would say
language.
like anything word for word, go back to MSBA
Okay,
policy.
thank you. I just wanted to clear that up.
You know, I mean, I just think it's, I mean, it was obviously changed for a reason, and I guess I wasn't really quite sure why that was changed, but if we want to, you know, use MSB as our gospel to, as all states do, I mean, Virginia, I mean, I got policies here from the city of Virginia, the city of Minnetonka, I mean, not the city, but the school district, Minnetonka School District, Virginia School District, 2142 St. Louis County Schools, and Hibbing, and they're all word for word with MSBA. You know, and I don't know why ours would be, I mean, why it was changed to that. Comments, I mean, look up the definition of comments, discussion, and participation. There's, you know, comments are just an opinion. You know, discussion is creating discussion. Participation is participation.
Wasn't this like modified by the MSBA for their recommendation at one point? Didn't we call them and I think someone talked to them? If I remember correctly, I don't know. It was,
I think we talked about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I don't know why they would, I mean, I guess I don't know why they would advise us to change our policy when, I mean, that's going against theirs. So at this point, I just report, I would, you know, I'd like the board not to approve this until it's changed back to the MSBA recommendations, the MSBA policy, word for word.
I guess I would just like to say, you know, like we said at the last meeting or committee meeting, I'm all about being welcoming and inviting the public in to interact with us. But you know, the difference was the agenda item versus the visitor input. And visitor input is just that, visitor input, give, you know, opinion on something or another, or just informing us of something. And the agenda, getting on the agenda would be a discussion situation. So I didn't feel like the wording in here necessarily deterred people from coming to speak to the school board. I think that I think it still addresses that ability to have discussion. And again, you know, I had suggested about having a brochure or something of that sort on the table to explain the difference to public citizens, because I wouldn't have known the difference between public, or, you know, visitor input and public, or school board agenda, and when you can interact and when you can't. So that's why I suggested the brochure.
My question is, under open forum, the school board may decide to hold certain types of public meetings where the public will not be invited to address the board. What is the reasoning behind that? Why wouldn't you want input from the public if you know,
Our committee
work
meetings,
session or whatever,
our committee meetings aren't.
or committee meetings? Yeah,
Our
why
committee
wouldn't you
meetings
want?
aren't for open discussion
Goes for
in the public.
negotiation meetings also. That's an open meeting, but. you
I mean,
can't
that's
have the
outside
public-
of this.
Well, okay, under, I can realize that.
There's many
okay.
open forums that aren't appropriate for the public to participate.
They can come,
Okay,
but
just-
yeah, it's
Yeah,
not.
it's just a certain types that doesn't spell out the specific types.
Again, that's the benefit of having a brochure to explain those differences to people when they do come to a school board meeting.
okay, well, there's a motion on the table that's been accepted. I guess kind of had a little bit of discussion on it, probably more than enough at this point, so I guess I'll just call for everyone in favor of the motion to accept or approve the second reading of policies. Say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
No.
Motion passes. Moving on. 10.3, update on staffing changes.
I just want to give the board a little update on where we're at with hiring. So we, some of the open positions we have, high school secretary, of course, retired. We posted that one right away. Had a massive load of applications. Hadn't seen that in, I myself hadn't seen that in about 10 years. Narrowed it down. Yeah, probably. Narrowed it down to probably half a dozen that we tested. I shouldn't say we, the group tested. And today and tomorrow they're going through interviews and should have one selected by the next board meeting. And hopefully on board so they can get a little training prior to summer starting. Industrial tech teacher, we've had that posted for the better part of 3 months now in various places. We have no applications right now, other than good old tried and true George said he would come back and actually do the whole thing next year rather than just a semester. So these are, yep, he would do the whole work. So we got old faithful George that's willing to step in if we can't find anyone. So that's good news. And actually, at this point in the year, I'm just telling you that's what it's going to be, because if we haven't got anybody now, we're not gonna. Also with the ADSIS grant, of course, we're looking at a reading specialist that'll be from within one of our current staff members, and then we'll end up hiring an elementary teacher. We also had a retirement in the high school elementary phy ed that was posted. It is up on Friday this week, and we currently don't have any applications for that. The elementary 6th grade, of course, remember from last year, in our Title I grant, we applied for class size reduction money with that. That's how we were able to split that class this year's 5th grade. And because that is grant money, we had to initially eliminate that with the hopes that we'll hire that back. So we'll see how the grant goes in July, but we probably will be posting for another one of those because the numbers haven't gone away. One or the other, it's still a large class. And then finally the high school Hope program we have posted right now. So it should, hopefully by the next time we meet, we should have most of this in place and should be staffed ready for 17-18. Any questions?
I do. Do you attend any of the job fairs or anything like that at the colleges of new graduates for teachers or?
Yeah, last couple of years actually, we have sent. I have sent the principals down. It's one in the cities that I don't recall off the top of my head, and particularly we've been looking for IT staff and some of the harder to find folks, and we have had zero success luring folks from that region up this way. We did not go this year. As a result, it is kind of spendy for us to go. We have to send 2 people down in the cities for 2 nights, and then there's a $500 entry fee as well. So we chose not to this year, just because it's yielded 0 results at this point.
How about letters to colleges that are saying that we've got openings or trying to recruit?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because there are some areas, IT for example, where there are very select few colleges that graduate anybody, so we can kind of narrow that down. Just as a point of reference, I mean, I believe, and I don't quote me on this, but I think we're fighting, the entire state is fighting over 4 graduates last year.
So, any further discussion on that?
Thank you. Just information.
Okay. 10.4, accept the memorandum of understanding with AFSCME.
This was on an agenda earlier. We decided to table it. It is related to Our IT staff right now, our information technology staff, is currently on individual contracts. That status was questioned because the definition of a confidential employee was changed in 2015. It now basically reads that you need to be directly involved with contract negotiations with the bargaining unit, which those folks do not. So it was very obvious that they aren't going to continue to qualify as a confidential. So they need to go to some unit if requested. ASME has requested that they be a part of their unit. We cannot, as an administrative group, direct where they go. They can choose to organize however they wish. At this time, those folks have decided that ASME is the place where they're going to go, as there are no other units that they're eligible for currently in our district. And this memorandum was written because one of my personal concerns with them going to ASME was bumping rights. I didn't want, it is a skilled position, I didn't want anyone to have the right to just go there. I wanted administrative control over who gets hired in that position, and this MOU gives us that. And I'm, again, like I said the last time we brought it up, I'm satisfied with, I think this is the best we're going to do right now, given that we don't have any control over where they go. So I think it's a good deal for both sides, and we're not, like I said, again, we're not, I got a little memo from VMS that we have no control over where they go. I mean, we can't decide that they need to go to a unit. Which unit? I mean, that is up to employees, not employers. So I would recommend that we go ahead and pass this thing tonight.
I'll
Looking to
motion.
make a move? Okay.
Yeah, I'll motion to approve the memorandum of understanding.
I will support.
Okay. Motion by Sather, support by Lotiger. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Okay. Motion passes. 11.0 administrative report.
All right, here we go. So our enrollment as of today is 969, down one from the last time I reported. A little bit on collaboration. Dr. Schmidt and I from Virginia are going to meet tomorrow with the facilitator. Facilitator has been hired. We're meeting to discuss the parameters of that meeting and set dates. So I will hopefully send out an email tomorrow with a set of dates for you, and we can get moving on that. I do apologize for the gross amount of time it's taken. It's been a process finding the facilitator and getting that whole thing going. I also wanted to mention, as far as the tech school goes across the highway there, we are offering 4 classes to our students next year. Hand and power tools, carpentry, graphic arts, and nursing. We have a number of students that are going to be in those. Some, like the hand and power tools, have as many as 9. Nursing has, I think it's 13 or 14. Graphic arts might be somewhere, is it 2 or 3? 3. So some of them aren't real well populated, but it's a good start. I think this could be a good partnership. They're pretty excited about starting that, so we'll see how it goes. We'll try it out next year. Oh, a couple things going on around. Go ahead. This way.
On Saturday, May 13th, we had our senior high prom, and so those are some pictures from the grad march and some pictures. And I'd like to thank the city of Evelyn and the chief of police, Tim Quevin, for providing an officer to be at the prom. And this was a slide from the last time, just our award ceremony again is tomorrow at 10 in the high school auditorium, and then we also have our 9th grade orientation. And this Thursday is our Memorial Day program in the high school gymnasium at 7 o'clock, and that is put on by our Minnesota Honor Society and the advisor, Ms. Beyondich. This Wednesday, we are having an IRYA kickball and ultimate frisbee tournament. And it's from 6 to 8, and there's a cost of $2 per person, and it includes a hot dog basket, and there's going to be other beverages and food items being sold as well. And all proceeds will be going to Avery Valencic and her family.
She did get released from the hospital today, by the way.
Oh, okay.
So.
Good to hear. The last day for our seniors will be this Friday, May 26th. And their senior class trip will be Tuesday, May 30th. They're going to go to a Twins game in Mall of America. And then graduation will be on Thursday, June 1st at 7 p.m. in the high school gymnasium.
Some things going on in Gilbert. This Friday, May 26th, the Nell Sheen Track and Field Day. Wednesday, May 31st, the Student Council and the Nell Sheen School Patrol will be going to Valley Fair for their annual trip. Thursday, June 1st is our award ceremonies. The junior high award ceremony will be at 8:30 a.m. Shortly followed thereafter at 10:30 by the Nell Sheen award ceremony, so we can make it to that. Last week was Volunteer Education Recognition Week, and just reading that little second sign there, it says during this school year, Vine volunteers volunteered over 500 hours in 18 classrooms of service, so I just want to thank them very much for all the support that they have given the schools and the teachers. We had DARE graduation last week, Friday. Congratulations to the 5th graders. I have to apologize, a little bit of blurriness of the pictures there, but Chelsea Trucano, one of the officers in Gilbert, was leading the charge this year for DARE, and they had a great year. We also our presence was graced by the Miss Minnesota 2016, and I apologize to her for her blurry photo as well. She was there. Also today, myself and a couple teachers took students bowling. We went to the Virginia Bowling Gardens for a couple hours, had a couple games there. We had a great time today, and we were celebrating our MCA large goal achievement. We had 66 kids in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade that made their large goals in either some combination of math and reading and science. That's it.
All right, I want to talk a little bit about field trips. Last week, kindergarten headed over to the Children's Museum, had a great time. You can see them there creating some volcanoes. Here they're working with dinosaurs. A couple other pictures of various activities they had set up in the Children's Museum there. Kids are pretty fired up when they came back. A couple more. Do a little fishing. First grade went down to Lake Superior Zoo. You can see some pictures of kids hanging out on the kangaroo fence and learning about birds on the right side there and fish on the left side. There's a tiger coming at first graders there. Petting zoo on the right side. That's the entrance there. You can see the two of the classes. They posted pictures. Second grade headed on over to the Forest History Center. They had some pretty great experience there too. You can see on the left they're learning about trapping, and you can see Cal there on the right running some. I'm totally blanked on what that is. Help me out. No.
Excavator?
No.
Heavy equipment.
It's the thing that cuts the tree down.
Oh, feller buncher?
The feller buncher. Okay. There they had some draft horses the kids got to play with. There's Tom's granddaughter. They put her to work hauling water over there. You can see they're at the water mill there, sawing some logs over on the right side there. Letting them to work in a boat, rolling logs. Yeah, you can see the picture there. I put that picture up there because it kind of exemplifies how all the kids were when they came back. And it's really cool to see when they have a positive experience like that. One other note that before I head on to their 4th grade tomorrow, we're heading over for orientation in Gilbert. We're going to be 5th graders tomorrow, so that'll be pretty cool. And the 8th grade's coming over this way. The 9th graders, as you mentioned already. Just one other thing, you have a little flyer on your desk there on June 2nd in the morning. We have our flight recognition breakfast, a little short ceremony to recognize some of our retirees and the ones that have hit the 5-mile milestones. We have breakfast sandwiches this year, a little breakfast sandwich, and we'll leave a donut in there. Teachers like donuts. So, there you go. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. All right. Motion to adjourn.
I'll move.